All right, US President Donald Trump dialed Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to greet him on his 75th birthday, in a major gesture seen as a part of Washington's efforts to reset ties with New Delhi. Following the phone call, Prime Minister Modi thanked Trump, who he referred to as his friend, for his greetings and said, like the US leader is fully committed to taking the India-US comprehensive and global partnership to new heights. Trump also posted about the call on his Truth social network and lauded Prime Minister Modi for doing what he called a tremendous job. He thanked the Indian Prime Minister for his support on ending the war between Russia and Ukraine. Now, while the exchange, it comes on the day of negotiating teams from the US and India held discussions in New Delhi. A team of officials from the Office of the US Trade Representative, led by Chief Negotiator for the India-US Bilateral Agreement Negotiations, Brendan Lynch, held a meeting with Rajesh Agarwal, the Chief Negotiator on the Indian side, and his team as well. The meeting lasted for about 7 hours. Following the talks, India's Ministry of Commerce and Industry said India and the US have decided to ramp up efforts to arrive at a trade deal, acknowledging the importance of bilateral trade between the two nations. It said the discussions were forward-looking, covering various aspects of the trade deal. In a separate statement, a US embassy spokesperson said that Lynch had a positive meeting in Delhi with Agarwal to discuss next steps in bilateral trade negotiations. India and US have earlier held 5 rounds of negotiations for a trade deal. The proposed last round of talks with US in August was postponed in the backdrop of rising tensions between the two countries, and that's following US's imposition of 50% tariffs on India for buying Russian oil. Trump announced 25% tariffs on Indian goods in July, even as there were hopes of an interim India-US trade deal that would have otherwise helped avoid elevated tariffs. A few days later, he imposed another 25% tariff, taking the total to 50%, citing India's continued imports of Russian oil. The 50% tariffs came into effect on August 27th. Well, Tuesday's meeting was not an official round of negotiations, but a meeting to discuss how to take the next steps forward and the talks between New Delhi and Washington forward. Reports say that the chief negotiators of both the countries have decided to continue the trade talks on virtual mode now. And our correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report from New York. Take a look.
India and the United States held nearly 8 hours of positive and forward-looking trade talks in New Delhi on Tuesday, the first since Washington imposed steep tariffs on Indian goods. Both sides agreed to push for an early mutually beneficial agreement with phase 1 targeted by November. Hours later, President Donald Trump called Prime Minister Modi to wish him a happy 75th birthday. Modi in turn reaffirmed India's commitment to U.S. partnership and voiced support for Trump's peace push in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.